You're living one life, but infinite versions of you exist right now. One version already has the wealth you want, another has perfect health. What if you could step sideways into their reality? The gap between you and them, thinner than thought. This isn't manifestation. It's navigation. You've been taught to climb. I'll show you how to shift. 3 questions will crack this open. Stay with me. Right now, in this moment, there's a version of you waking up in a home you love, checking a bank account that makes you smile, living without the weight of financial stress pressing on your chest every morning. That version of you isn't lucky. They aren't more talented. They didn't work harder or know the right people. They simply exist on a different frequency, in a timeline adjacent to yours. And the distance between your current reality and theirs is not measured in years of effort or lucky breaks. It's measured in something much simpler and much stranger: identity. Everything you've been taught about wealth is a lie designed to keep you climbing. Save more, work harder. Learn another skill, network better, invest smarter. These aren't wrong exactly. They're just tragically incomplete. They're answers to a question nobody should be asking. The question isn't, how do I get there from here? The question is, who do I need to become to already be there? I'm going to tell you something that will sound impossible at first. Your wealthy self, the one with everything you want, isn't waiting in your future. They're existing right now in a parallel timeline. Quantum physics has been trying to tell us this for a century. Every choice creates a branch. Every decision splits reality. There's a you who said yes when you said no, a you who invested when you hesitated, a you who walked through the door you turned away from. These aren't fantasies. They're actualities in adjacent timelines. And here's what changes everything. The border between timelines is permeable. You've felt this before, even if you didn't have language for it. Those moments when reality feels thin, when synchronicities pile up, when you meet the right person at the impossible time, when money arrives from an unexpected source the day you needed it. Those aren't coincidences. They're bleed-throughs. Moments when your timeline brushed against another, when the membrane got thin enough for something to cross over. Most people experience these moments and call them luck. You're about to learn to call them on purpose. The version of you with wealth isn't living in your future. Stop looking forward. They're living now parallel to you, separated only by frequency, by the emotional signature you're broadcasting, by the identity you're embodying, by the assumptions you're running like background software every moment of every day. Change those, and you don't move toward wealth. You move sideways into it. You don't build a bridge to another shore. You realize you're already standing on it and just need to look down. Before we go further, I need you to do something. Not later, right now. Close your eyes if you're somewhere safe to do so. If not, just soften your gaze. Take a breath that's deeper than your last 10 breaths combined. Pull air all the way down into your belly. Hold it for 3 seconds. Now let it out slowly, like you're breathing through a straw. Do this 2 more times. With each exhale, imagine you're releasing the need to understand how this works before you experience it. You don't need to understand electricity to turn on a light. You don't need to understand this to use it. Just breathe and be here. 1 more deep breath. Good. Open your eyes. You just practiced the first principle, surrender before strategy. Most people approach wealth like it's a mountain to climb. They stand at the base, look up at the peak, and start calculating. How many steps? How much time? What gear do I need? What if I fall? And they start climbing, one exhausting step after another, watching people pass them, wondering why it's taking so long, why they're so tired, why the summit never seems to get closer. Here's what they don't see. There's no mountain. There's only frequency. The person at the summit isn't higher up. They're vibrating differently. They're not richer because they climbed better. They're richer because they exist in a reality where being rich is their default state, and you can't climb to a different frequency. You can only tune to it. Think about a radio. All the stations are broadcasting simultaneously. Jazz on 95.3, classical on 98.7, news on 101.1. They're all transmitting right now, filling the air around you with different realities. When you turn the dial, you're not making the station come into existence. You're selecting which already existing broadcast you want to receive. Your current financial reality is just the station you're tuned to. Poverty consciousness broadcasts on one frequency, middle-class security on another, wealth consciousness on another. They're all real. They're all happening. You're just receiving one of them, and the dial. That's your identity. Identity is not who you think you are. It's not your personality or your preferences or your history. Identity is the bundle of assumptions you operate from. It's the unquestioned beliefs running in the background of every decision you make. It's the answer to the question, What's true about me and what's possible for me? Your current identity has an answer to that question, and that answer is creating your current results with perfect precision. If you want different results, you need a different answer, not a better strategy. A different operating system, let me be specific. Somewhere right now, there's a version of you who assumes money comes easily. Not hopes it does, not wishes it did. Assumes. The way you assume gravity will hold you to the ground or the sun will rise tomorrow. They don't think about it. It's just true in their world. When they need money, they feel mild curiosity about how it will show up this time, not anxiety about whether it will. When they see something they want, their first thought isn't, can I afford this, but do I want this? When opportunity appears, they assume it's for them. They walk through the world with the unshakable knowing that financial abundance is their default setting. And here's the key. The universe they live in reflects that assumption back to them with absolute fidelity. Not because they're special, because assumption is creative. Assumption is the dial that selects the timeline. Now think about your current assumptions. I don't mean your hopes or your affirmations or what you tell yourself you believe. I mean the assumptions that actually run your life. The ones that kick in when you see a price tag or check your bank balance or think about next month's bills. What's your automatic response? Is it ease or tension? Curiosity or dread? Openness or contraction? That emotional response is your identity speaking. That's the frequency you're broadcasting. That's the timeline you're tuned to. And I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad. I'm telling you because once you see it, you can change it. But you can't change what you can't see. Here's what's possible. You can change your assumptions. You can change them today, right now, in the next 5 minutes. Not through years of therapy or decades of meditation or winning the lottery. Through decision. Through the simple, radical act of deciding that a different set of assumptions is now true for you and then living as if they are. This sounds too simple to work, which is exactly why it does work. Complexity is how the mind protects itself from change. Simplicity is how change actually happens. But let me warn you, your current identity will fight this. It has to. It's a survival mechanism. Your identity is not trying to keep you poor. It's trying to keep you consistent. Because to your nervous system, consistency equals safety. Doesn't matter if you're consistently broke. Broke and consistent is safer than rich and unknown. Your identity will generate every reason why this won't work for you. Why you're different. Why your circumstances are special. Why other people can do this but you can't. It will sound like wisdom. It will feel like realism. It's neither. It's just fear of discontinuity. Fear of becoming someone you don't recognize. And that fear is the only real obstacle between you and wealth. So here's the first real question I need you to sit with. What if the wealthy version of you is who you actually are? And the broke version is just who you've been practicing being? What if wealth is your natural state and struggle is the costume you've gotten really good at wearing? Sit with that. Don't answer it. Just let it be there. Now let me show you how this works in practice. Imagine two people. Let's call them Sarah and Marcus. Both in their mid-30s, both working similar jobs, both making about the same money. Sarah wakes up Monday morning and checks her bank account. She has $1,500. Rent is due in a week, that's $1,200. Car insurance in 2 weeks, $300. She does the math. She has exactly enough, barely. Her chest tightens. She feels behind. She thinks about her coworker who just bought a house. She thinks about her college friend who's traveling through Europe again. She feels the gap between where she is and where she should be. The day hasn't even started and she's already carrying weight. Marcus wakes up the same Monday morning. Checks his account. $1,500. Rent due in a week, $1,200. Car insurance in 2 weeks, $300. He does the same math, gets the same numbers, but his response is different. He thinks, okay, everything's handled for now. He makes coffee. He feels neutral, maybe even grateful that nothing's urgent today. He remembers that 3 months ago he had 3 months later, Sarah is still at $1,500 in her account, still doing the math, still feeling behind. Marcus got a call from an old colleague about a freelance project. Made an extra $2,000. Didn't even apply for it. It came to him. Sarah worked just as hard, was just as qualified. But Marcus was broadcasting a frequency that said, I'm taken care of, and the universe matched it. Sarah was broadcasting, I'm barely making it, and the universe matched that too. Neither is right or wrong. Both are just tuning to different stations. Both are getting exactly what they're vibrationally aligned with. You might be thinking, but Marcus got lucky. He happened to have a colleague who thought of him. And yes, from Sarah's timeline, it looks like luck. But from Marcus's timeline, it's just how things work for him. Opportunities show up. Money flows. Things work out. That's not luck. That's frequency. That's identity. That's the assumption that I'm taken care of meeting reality, and reality saying, yes, you are. Here's what I need you to understand. Sarah is not stuck because she's unlucky or untalented or cursed. Sarah is stuck because she's tuned to the frequency of barely enough, and that station broadcasts exactly what she's receiving. Marcus is not thriving because he's smarter or more privileged or blessed. Marcus is thriving because he's tuned to the frequency of things work out for me, and that station broadcasts what he's receiving. The difference between them is not effort. It's not opportunity. It's identity. It's the assumptions they're operating from, and assumptions can change in an instant. Not through force, through choice. Let me tell you about the moment this became real for me. I was sitting in my apartment staring at an eviction notice. I had 30 days to come up with 3 months of back rent or I was out. $4,200? I had $216 in my account. I'd been applying this work for months, reading all the books, doing all the visualizations, saying all the affirmations, and I was about to be homeless. I remember thinking, this doesn't work. I've been trying to shift timelines and nothing shifted. I'm still broke, still behind, still failing. Then something happened. I don't know if I broke or broke through, but I laughed, just started laughing at the absurdity of it all. And in that moment of surrender, I asked myself a different question. Not how am I going to fix this, but who is the version of me who's already handled this? What does he feel right now? And the answer came immediately. He feels calm. He feels curious about how it's going to work out. He knows it always does. So I made a decision. I decided to be him, not pretend to be him. Decide to be him. I stood up, looked at the eviction notice, and said out loud, this is already handled. I don't know how, but it's handled. And I meant it. Not as hope, as fact. 3 days later, a company I'd done freelance work for 18 months earlier, a company I hadn't thought about in a year, called me. They'd just gotten a big project. Their usual contractor fell through. Did I still do this kind of work? Could I start immediately? They paid half up front, $4,500. I had the money in my account 5 days after the eviction notice arrived. I paid my rent, kept my apartment, and had money left over. And here's what I learned. It wasn't the visualization that created it. It wasn't the affirmations. It was the moment I stopped trying to become the wealthy version of me and just decided I already was him. The moment I stopped asking how and started assuming done. That's when the timeline shifted. That's when I moved from one frequency to another. That's when the parallel version became the primary version. Now you might be thinking, that's great for you, but that was a coincidence. That company calling was random. And I get it. From the outside, it looks random. But here's what I've learned in the years since. There's no such thing as coincidence. There's only alignment. There's only frequency matching reality. That company calling wasn't luck. It was the natural result of me shifting to a frequency where I'm taken care of, where money flows to me, where things work out. And once I made that shift, that frequency kept broadcasting. More opportunities came. More money flowed. Not because I worked harder or got luckier, because I stopped living from the question, how will I survive this, and started living from the statement, I already have what I need. This is the parallel you principle. The version of you with everything you want already exists. They're not in your future. They're in your now, just on a different frequency. And the shift from your current timeline to theirs is not a journey of distance. It's a shift of identity. It's choosing to operate from their assumptions instead of your current ones. It's deciding that their truth is your truth and then living as if it is. Not someday, not when you see proof. Now, before proof. As the proof, let me give you the mechanism. In quantum physics, there's a principle called superposition. It says that all possible states of a particle exist simultaneously until observation collapses them into one. An electron is in all places at once until you measure it, and then it's in one place. The act of observation selects which possibility becomes actual. You are the observer. Your identity is the lens through which you observe. Your current results are the collapsed wave function of all possibilities, selected by the frequency of your observation. Change your observation, change the lens, change the frequency, and you collapse a different possibility into form. You're not creating wealth. You're selecting the timeline where wealth is already yours. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. Your assumptions are acts of observation. When you assume I never have enough, you observe from that frequency. And the quantum field, which holds all possibilities, collapses into the reality that matches that observation. You get not enough. Not because the universe is punishing you, because the universe is a mirror. It reflects the frequency you're broadcasting with absolute precision and zero judgment. When you assume I always have what I need, you observe from that frequency. The quantum field collapses into the reality that matches. You get what you need. Same field, same possibilities, different observation, different result. So the work is not out there. The work is in here. In the assumptions you're running, in the identity you're embodying, in the frequency you're broadcasting every moment of every day through the thoughts you think and the emotions you feel and the decisions you make. Change the frequency, change the broadcast, change the timeline, and you change the frequency by changing the identity. And you change the identity by deciding who you are now, regardless of what your current circumstances seem to say. Here's where people get stuck. They try to change their thoughts while keeping their identity the same. They paste affirmations over limiting beliefs. They visualize wealth while still feeling poor. They say, I am abundant, while their nervous system screams, you are not. And it doesn't work. Not because affirmations don't work, because they're trying to tune to a new station while keeping the dial in the same position. You can't get to 98.7 by wishing really hard that 92.5 would play different music. You have to turn the dial. You have to change frequency. You have to embody a different identity. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to become worthy of the new identity. You don't have to earn it or heal enough or grow enough or learn enough. You just have to choose it. Identity is not earned. It's declared. You don't become wealthy and then step into wealth consciousness. You step into wealth consciousness and then become wealthy. The consciousness comes first. Always. The form follows the frequency. The outside mirrors the inside, not the other way around. Let me give you a practice right now. Something simple but powerful. Take a moment and ask yourself, what's one assumption the wealthy version of me operates from that I don't? Don't overthink it. Just let an answer come. Maybe it's money comes easily. Maybe it's I'm valuable. Maybe it's opportunities find me. Whatever comes up, that's your answer. Now here's the practice. For the next 24 hours, act as if that assumption is true. Not hope it's true. Not try to make it true. Just act as if it already is true. Make every decision from that assumption. Notice how it feels. Notice what changes. You're not testing whether it works. You're practicing being the person who already lives from that assumption. You're turning the dial. You're shifting frequency. You're stepping sideways into a different timeline. And watch what happens. Not next week. Not next month. Watch what happens today. Because the shift doesn't take time. The shift takes decision. Time is what it takes to trust the decision enough to stop checking whether it's working. But the shift itself? Instant. You choose a new identity, and the universe immediately begins rearranging itself to match. The opportunities were always there. The money was always available. The synchronicities were always waiting. You just weren't tuned to the frequency where you could perceive them. Now you are. And now everything changes. This is what I mean by parallel riches. The riches aren't parallel. You are. There's a version of you already living in wealth, and there's the version reading this right now. They're both real. They're both you. They're just on different frequencies, and the gap between them is so thin you could step across it in a single moment of decision. The question is not, can you? The question is, will you? Will you choose to be the person who has it all before you have it all? Because that's the move. That's the shift. That's how you step into parallel riches. Not by working harder in your current timeline, but by choosing to exist in a different one. By deciding that the assumptions of wealthy you are now your assumptions. By living from those assumptions so consistently that your current reality has no choice but to dissolve and reform around the new frequency. This is not magic. This is mechanics. This is how reality works, and you're about to learn to work it on purpose. The second principle is this: identity is the only gate. Not worthiness, not readiness, not circumstances. Identity. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if your identity doesn't match the result you want, you'll sabotage the strategy. You can have money land in your account, but if your identity is still I'm broke, you'll find a way to make it disappear. You can have opportunities surround you, but if your identity says I don't deserve this, you won't even see them. Identity is the filter through which all possibility passes. Change the filter, change what gets through. Think about lottery winners. Most of them are broke within 5 years. Not because money ran out, because their identity didn't change. They had the money, but they were still the person who didn't have money. And identity always wins. Always. The universe cannot give you what you're not vibrationally aligned to keep. It can give you temporary experiences of it, but if your identity doesn't match, those experiences dissolve. This is why healing your relationship with money isn't enough. Why doing the inner work isn't enough. Why processing your trauma isn't enough. Those things matter, yes, but they're not the gate. Identity is the gate. And identity is a choice, not a destination. Here's how you know what your current identity is. Look at your results. Your results are a perfect printout of your identity. Not what you wish your identity was, not what you tell people your identity is. Your actual identity. The one running in the background. The one you're not even aware of most of the time. If you're broke, your identity is, I don't have money. If you're in debt, your identity is I owe. If you're barely getting by, your identity is I have just enough. Those aren't judgments. Those are just facts. And facts can change the moment you decide to change them. Now here's the shift. What if you decided right now that your identity is I am wealthy? Not I want to be wealthy. Not I will be wealthy someday. I am wealthy. Present tense. Absolute statement. No conditions. No time frame. Just fact. What happens? Your mind immediately throws up objections. But I'm not wealthy. Look at my bank account. Look at my debt. Look at my life. And here's what you need to understand. Those objections are not truth. Those objections are your old identity protecting itself. Those objections are the frequency you're currently tuned to, trying to keep you tuned to it. Because if you change frequency, the old identity dissolves. And to the old identity, that feels like death. So it fights, it argues, it presents evidence. It makes you doubt. And most people lose here. They let the objections win. They say, you're right, I'm not wealthy, who am I kidding? And they stay tuned to the same station, broadcasting the same frequency, getting the same results. But what if you didn't lose there? What if you heard the objections and said, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm making a different choice now? What if you acknowledged the current evidence and said, that was true for the old me, but I'm deciding something new now? What if you treated the objections like clouds passing through the sky, real but not permanent, visible but not solid? What if you chose your new identity anyway, not in defiance of the evidence, in declaration of a new truth? This is not delusion. This is decision. This is how you turn the dial. Let me be clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I'm not saying ignore your bills. I'm not saying pretend you have money you don't have. I'm not saying spend recklessly and hope the universe covers it. That's not identity shift. That's denial. Identity shift is handling your current reality responsibly, while emotionally and vibrationally operating from a different truth. It's paying the bills you have while feeling the way someone with wealth feels. It's making practical decisions while assuming abundance is your default. It's being realistic about where you are, while being absolute about who you're becoming. Here's an example. You get a bill for $500. You have $300 in your account. Old identity panics, goes into scarcity, feels the contraction, starts the spiral of I'll never get ahead and why does this always happen to me and I'm so tired of struggling. That's 92.5 FM, the struggle station, broadcasting loud and clear. New identity sees the same bill, the same account balance, and responds differently. Okay, I need $200 more. I wonder how it's going to show up. I always figure it out. Then goes about the day with curiosity instead of panic, with trust instead of terror. That's 98.7, the Abundance station, same external circumstance. Different internal frequency, different timeline, and guess which version is more likely to notice an opportunity or receive a call or find a solution? The one broadcasting abundance, every time. This is the frequency mismatch diagnostic. Most people are trying to attract wealth while broadcasting poverty. Trying to call in abundance while feeling lack. Trying to manifest money while vibrating fear. And it doesn't work. Not because the universe doesn't care, because the universe only responds to frequency. You can say all the affirmations you want, but if your emotional state is contracted, you're not tuned to the station you think you're tuned to. You can visualize wealth all day, but if you're feeling poor while you do it, you're reinforcing the frequency of poverty. The universe doesn't hear your words. The universe feels your frequency, and it matches it, always. So the work is to identify the emotions the wealthy version of you lives in, and then practice living in those emotions now. Before the money, before the evidence, before anyone agrees. This is what assumption means. Not fake it till you make it. Embody it until it becomes, not pretending, practicing, not lying to yourself, choosing a new truth and living into it so fully that it becomes your new default. What emotions does wealthy you feel most of the time? Probably ease, probably calm, probably curiosity, probably gratitude, probably generosity, probably peace. Now what emotions do you feel most of the time? Be honest, probably stress, probably worry, Probably fear, probably frustration, probably resentment, probably anxiety. That's your frequency mismatch. That's the gap. And that gap is what's keeping you on the struggle station. Close the gap, change the frequency, change the timeline. It's that simple, not easy, but simple. Here's the practice. For the next 7 days, track your emotions. Not to judge them, just to see them. Every few hours, check in. What am I feeling right now? Name it, write it down. At the end of 7 days, you'll have a clear picture of your dominant frequency, your default emotional state. And that state is broadcasting 24/7. That state is selecting your timeline. That state is creating your results. Now ask yourself, is this the emotional signature of someone wealthy? If not, you found the work. Not fixing, not healing, just choosing. Choosing to feel the way wealthy you feels even when your circumstances haven't caught up yet. And yes, I know this sounds like bypassing, like spiritual materialism, like ignoring real pain. It's not. You can acknowledge your current emotions and still choose to practice new ones. You can honor where you are and still decide where you're going. You're not dismissing your struggle. You're refusing to make it your identity. You're not pretending everything's fine. You're deciding that your emotional state is not determined by your external circumstances. You're taking your power back from the material world and placing it where it belongs, in your inner world. In your identity, in your frequency. Let me tell you about Rachel. She came to this work drowning in credit card debt. $38,000. She'd been paying minimums for years, watching the balance barely move. She felt trapped, ashamed, hopeless. She tried budgeting, tried side hustles, tried everything. Nothing worked. Then she learned about identity. And she asked herself, what does the version of me who's debt-free feel? The answer came, light, free, proud. So she started practicing those feelings. Not when the debt was gone. Now, while the debt was still there. She'd wake up and choose to feel light. She'd check her credit card balance and choose to feel free. She'd make a payment and choose to feel proud. Not fake feelings, real feelings, chosen on purpose. She was turning the dial. Within 2 months, she got a job offer she hadn't applied for, $20,000 more a year. Within 4 months, her aunt passed away and left her $15,000. She'd never expected an inheritance. Had no idea it was coming. Within 6 months, she'd paid off the entire debt. And here's what she told me. The money showing up wasn't the miracle. The miracle was that she felt light and free and proud before the money showed up. The miracle was that she changed her frequency first, and then reality reorganized itself to match. The debt clearing was just the evidence that the shift had already happened internally. That's how this works. You don't change your circumstances and then change your frequency. You change your frequency, and then your circumstances change to match. The outside always follows the inside. The form always follows the frequency. This is the quantum rewrite protocol. You can't change your past, but you can change the meaning you've assigned to your past. You can rewrite the story, not the facts, the interpretation. And when you change the interpretation, you change the frequency you're carrying forward from those events. You release the energetic signature of those memories. And when you do that, you free up massive amounts of energy that were locked in the old story. Energy that can now flow into the new timeline. Here's what I mean. Maybe you grew up poor. That's a fact. But the story you tell about what that means is not a fact. It's an interpretation. One interpretation, I grew up poor, so I'll always struggle. Money is hard for people like me. I'm behind everyone else. That interpretation creates a frequency of lack, of limitation, of victimhood. And that frequency broadcasts into your present and future, creating more of the same. Another interpretation of the same fact. I grew up poor, so I know how to do a lot with a little. I'm resourceful. I'm resilient. I have a depth of gratitude that people who had it easy don't have. That interpretation creates a frequency of capability, of strength, of gratitude. Same fact, different frequency, different timeline. The quantum rewrite is going back through your history and deliberately choosing empowering interpretations of the events that shaped you, not denying what happened, not pretending it didn't hurt, but refusing to let the old meaning continue to broadcast into your present. You're not changing the past. You're changing what the past means about you and what's possible for you. And when you change that, you change the frequency you're carrying. You change the identity you're embodying. You change the timeline you're on. Try this right now. Think of a financial struggle from your past. A time you didn't have enough. A time you were embarrassed. A time you felt behind or inadequate or ashamed. Got it? Now ask yourself, what did I make that experience mean about me? Be honest. Maybe you decided I'm bad with money. Maybe you decided I can't get ahead. Maybe you decided I don't deserve nice things. Whatever you decided, that decision became part of your identity. That decision started broadcasting. That decision is still creating your results today. Now ask yourself a different question. What if that experience happened to prepare me, not punish me? What if it taught me something I needed to learn? What if it gave me a sensitivity or a skill or a strength that's actually valuable? What's a different meaning I could give it? Not a fake meaning, a real one, just from a different angle. When you find that new meaning, you're rewriting the quantum signature of that memory. You're releasing the old frequency. You're freeing yourself to broadcast a new one. Do this with every significant financial memory you have. The time you couldn't afford something everyone else had. The time you were rejected or looked down on or made to feel less than. The time you failed or lost or fell behind. These memories are not your past. They're your present. They're broadcasting right now. They're shaping your current identity and selecting your current timeline. Rewrite them. Not the facts. The meaning. Give them a new interpretation that empowers instead of limits. And watch how much energy comes back to you. Watch how much lighter you feel. Watch how the frequency shifts. That's the quantum rewrite protocol. That's how you stop letting your past select your future. Now let's talk about acting from the end state. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where theory becomes practice. Acting from the end state means making decisions today as if you're already the wealthy version of you. Not reckless decisions, not irresponsible decisions, but decisions that align with the frequency of abundance rather than lack. Decisions that say, I trust, rather than I'm afraid. Decisions that say I'm taken care of rather than I have to hoard. This is where the shift becomes tangible. This is where you prove to yourself and to the universe that you're serious about the new identity. Here's what this looks like. You're at the grocery store. You need vegetables. You see organic ones and conventional ones. Organic costs $3 more. Old identity immediately calculates. $3 times 4 types of vegetables is $12. $12 times 4 weeks is $48 a month. That's almost $600 a year. I can't afford that. Picks conventional, feels the contraction, reinforces the frequency of lack. New identity sees the same prices and asks a different question. What would wealthy me choose? Wealthy me values their health. Wealthy me doesn't choose based on scarcity. Wealthy me trusts that spending $3 more on vegetables that are better for their body is not a financial risk. It's an investment. Picks organic, feels the expansion, reinforces the frequency of abundance. $3 more, but a completely different timeline. I can hear the objection, but I literally can't afford organic vegetables. I have $20 for groceries this week and that's it. I hear you. And I'm not telling you to go into debt for organic broccoli. I'm telling you to notice the frequency behind the decision. There's a difference between I'm choosing conventional this week because that's what I can do right now and I can never afford organic because I'm broke. One is neutral. One is contracting. One is practical. One is identity. You can make the same external choice from 2 different internal frequencies. The work is to make every choice from the frequency of abundance, even when the external choice looks like constraint. It's not what you choose. It's who you are while you're choosing it. Here's another example. You get an invitation to an event. Ticket costs $50. Old identity. I can't afford that. Immediately says no. Feels left out. Feels behind. Reinforces the frequency of I can't afford nice things. New identity. Do I want to go? If yes, how can I make this happen? Maybe I skip takeout twice this week. Maybe I sell something I don't use. Maybe I ask if there's a payment plan. Maybe I decide it's worth it and trust that the $50 will come back to me in some other way. Makes a decision from desire and trust, not from fear and lack. And even if the final answer is still no, the frequency was different. The identity was different. The timeline was different. This is not about spending money you don't have. This is about checking the frequency behind every financial decision you make. Is this decision coming from abundance or lack? From trust or fear? From wealthy me or broke me? And then, whenever possible, choosing the decision that aligns with wealthy me, even in small ways. Especially in small ways. Because the small ways are where identity is actually built. It's not the big decisions that matter most. It's the hundreds of tiny decisions you make every day that either reinforce the old frequency or practice the new one. Let's pause here and do something together. Get comfortable. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath in. Hold it for 4 counts. Release for 6. Again. In for 4. Hold. Out for 6. One more time. Now I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now. The version of you who has everything you want. Wealth, freedom, peace, security. See yourself waking up in the morning. Where are you? What does the room look like? How does your body feel? Walk yourself through a morning routine. What do you eat? What do you wear? How do you move through the space? Notice the feeling in your chest, the ease, the calm, the quiet confidence. This version of you knows they're taken care of, knows they're abundant, knows they're valuable. Feel that. Breathe into that. This is not fantasy. This is a real version of you existing right now on a different timeline. And the frequency you're feeling right now in this visualization, that's the frequency that selects for that timeline. You're not imagining the future. You're tuning to a parallel present. Stay here for another moment. Feel it as deeply as you can. Now take one more breath and come back. Open your eyes. That frequency you just touched, that's your work. Practice living from that frequency in your daily life. That's acting from the end state. That's stepping into parallel riches. The next principle is the detachment paradox. This one trips people up constantly. They think they need to want wealth badly enough to attract it. They think they need to be desperate and driven and hungry. And that's exactly backward. Desperation repels. Hunger contracts. Need pushes away. Detachment attracts. Ease draws in. Trust magnetizes. The more you need something, the more you broadcast the frequency of not having it. The more you relax into already having it, the more you broadcast the frequency that collapses that timeline into form. Think about it. When you desperately need someone to love you, what happens? People pull away. You're too intense, too needy, too much. But when you're content with yourself, when you're good either way, when you don't need them but you're open to them, what happens? People are drawn to you. It's the same with money. When you desperately need money, you repel opportunities. You make bad decisions. You accept less than you're worth. You broadcast I don't have and the universe matches it. When you trust that you're taken care of, when you're good either way, when you want wealth but don't need it to feel okay, what happens? Money flows. Opportunities appear. You make clear decisions. You attract your worth. You broadcast I already have and the universe matches that. This doesn't mean you stop wanting wealth. It means you stop needing wealth to feel whole. It means you want wealth from a place of already being full instead of trying to fill an emptiness. It means you pursue wealth from overflow instead of from lack. Same goal, completely different frequency. And frequency is everything. Here's the practice. Every time you catch yourself feeling desperate or needy or anxious about money, stop. Breathe. Put your hand on your heart. Say out loud or in your mind, I already have everything I need. Even if I don't have what I want yet, I have everything I need. Right here, right now, I am okay. This isn't denial. This is truth. Right now, you're breathing. You're alive. You have enough for this moment. That's not settling. That's detaching from the future long enough to ground in the present. And when you ground in the present, you stop broadcasting desperation. You start broadcasting trust. And trust is magnetic. The detachment paradox is this. The less you need it, the faster it comes. The more you relax, the more you receive. The more you're okay without it, the more you open to it. This sounds wrong to the mind that's been taught to hustle and grind and push. But it's right to the universe that responds to frequency. You can still take action. You can still pursue goals. But you do it from a place of this would be amazing instead of I'll die without this. From I'm excited to see how this unfolds instead of this has to work or I'm screwed. Same actions. Different energy. Different results. Let me tell you about Tom. He was trying to grow his business. Needed clients desperately. Spent all day networking, pitching, following up. Felt frantic. Felt behind. Felt like he was chasing everyone and catching no one. He came to this work exhausted. I asked him, what if you trusted that the clients you need are already on their way? What if you pursued your business from excitement instead of desperation? What if you detached from the outcome and just did excellent work and trusted it would be seen? He looked at me like I was insane. If I detach, nothing will happen. I have to push or it all falls apart. But he was so tired that he tried it anyway. He stopped the frantic networking. He stopped chasing. He decided that his job was to show up with excellence and trust that the right clients would find him. He detached, and within 2 weeks, 3 clients came to him. People he'd never met, referrals, inbound inquiries. He didn't do less. He just did it from a different frequency. He stopped pushing and started attracting. That's the detachment paradox. The less you grip, the more you hold. The more you release, the more you receive. The more you trust, the more you're given. Now let's talk about the how trap. This is the biggest block for most people. They want to shift timelines, but they need to see the path first. They need to know how it's going to happen. They need a plan, a strategy, a map. And the universe says, choose the destination and I'll reveal the path as you walk. But they say, no, show me the path first, then I'll choose the destination. And the universe says that's not how this works. And they stay stuck, forever waiting for certainty before they commit, forever demanding proof before they believe, forever trying to see the whole staircase before they take the first step. Here's the truth. You will never see how it's going to happen before it happens. The how is not your job. The how is the universe's job. Your job is the what and the who. What do you want? Who do you need to be? The universe handles how it shows up. But if you insist on knowing the how, if you need to control the mechanism, if you can't surrender to the mystery, you block the flow. You limit the infinite ways the universe could deliver to only the ways your finite mind can imagine. And your mind is terrible at imagining the paths available. Your mind only knows what it's seen before. Your mind operates from history. The universe operates from infinite possibility. Let the universe do its job. This is hard for people because not knowing how feels unsafe. It feels irresponsible. It feels foolish, like you're supposed to have it all figured out. But figured out is a myth. Nobody has it figured out. Everyone is making it up as they go. The only difference between people who are succeeding and people who are stuck is that the people who are succeeding are willing to move forward without knowing how. They're willing to choose the identity, step into the frequency, and trust that the path will appear. And it always does. Not before they step. After. One step at a time. That's how the universe works. That's the agreement. You step in faith. The universe meets you with evidence. Not before, after. So stop asking how. Stop needing to see the path. Stop waiting for certainty. Choose the identity. Embody the frequency. Act as if it's already done. And trust that the how will reveal itself in ways you can't currently imagine and don't need to. This is not irresponsibility. This is faith. Faith is not believing it will happen. Faith is acting as if it already has and trusting that reality will catch up. That's the shift. That's the move. That's how you escape the how trap. Let me give you a real scenario. You want to make $10,000 in the next month. You don't currently make that. You don't have a plan for how to make that. Hold you immediately spirals. How am I going to make $10,000 in a month? I'd need 5 new clients, or 1 huge client, or I'd need to launch something, or I'd need to, see, already limiting, already constraining, already trying to figure out the how. And in the figuring, you're locking into the old timeline, the timeline where you work hard and maybe get lucky. New you makes a different move. You decide, I am the version of me who makes $10,000 this month. You don't know how. You don't need to know how. You just know that version of you exists. So you step into being that version. You make decisions from that identity. You feel the emotions of that identity. You act from the confidence of that identity. And you stay open. You don't force a path. You watch for signs. You follow nudges. You say yes to unexpected opportunities. You trust that the how is being arranged behind the scenes. And you let it unfold. What happens? Maybe a past client comes back with a big project. Maybe you get invited to a collaboration you didn't seek out. Maybe someone finds your website and hires you on the spot. Maybe you have an idea that lands perfectly. Maybe. The point is, the how comes from a place you couldn't have orchestrated. The how comes from the universe responding to your frequency. Your job was never to figure out the how. Your job was to become the person who already has it and stay in that frequency long enough for reality to reorganize. That's the move. That's the magic. That's how you dissolve the how trap. Now we come to bridge events and synchronicity reading. Once you shift frequency, once you step into the new identity, the universe immediately begins sending you confirmations, little signs that the timeline is merging. Most people miss these because they're looking for big proof. They're waiting for the money to show up, the job to land, the deal to close. But the universe starts small. It sends whispers before it sends shouts. And if you're not paying attention, if you're not reading the synchronicities, you miss the encouragement. You miss the proof that it's working. You miss the bridge. Bridge events are the signs that your old timeline and your new timeline are starting to merge. They're the synchronicities, the coincidences, the unexpected connections that show up when you shift frequency. Someone mentions exactly what you were just thinking about. You see a number sequence repeatedly. You run into someone you haven't seen in years who has exactly what you need. An opportunity appears out of nowhere. These aren't random. These are the universe saying, yes, you're on the right frequency. Keep going. This is the path. Most people dismiss these. Oh, that's just a coincidence. No big deal. And in dismissing them, they disconnect from the confirmation. They miss the evidence that the shift is working. But when you start reading synchronicity as feedback, when you start noticing bridge events as proof, you build trust. You reinforce the new frequency. You strengthen the new identity. You stay the course. And the bridge events get bigger until they're not bridge events anymore. They're your new reality. Here's what to track. Unexpected connections. When someone reaches out who you haven't heard from in a while, that's a bridge event. When you think of someone and they call, that's a bridge event. Pay attention. Opportunities that appear without you seeking them. When something comes to you instead of you having to chase it, that's a bridge event. When a door opens that you didn't knock on, pay attention. Resources that show up exactly when you need them. When money arrives from an unexpected source, that's a bridge event. When someone gives you exactly what you need without you asking, pay attention. Ideas or insights that feel like downloads. When you suddenly know what to do next, that's a bridge event. When clarity comes out of nowhere, pay attention. All of these are signs. All of these are the universe confirming, yes, you're tuning to the right frequency. Yes, the timeline is shifting. Yes, keep going. Start keeping a synchronicity log. Every day, write down anything that felt like a sign, a coincidence, a bridge event. Don't judge it. Don't question whether it counts. Just log it. At the end of 2 weeks, read back through. You'll see a pattern. You'll see that the universe has been confirming your shift all along. You'll see that you're not alone in this. The universe is meeting you. The timeline is merging. The parallel version is becoming primary. Now let's talk about sustaining the new normal. This is where most people fail. They do the work. They shift the frequency. They step into the new identity. Things start to change. Bridge events show up. Money flows. Opportunities appear. And then they relax. They think they've arrived. They stop practicing the new frequency and unconsciously slip back into the old one, and the timeline snaps back. The money dries up. The opportunities fade. And they think, see, it didn't work. But it did work. They just didn't sustain it. They didn't anchor the new identity deeply enough to make it automatic. They wore it like a costume instead of embodying it as their new default. Sustaining the new normal means practicing the new frequency until it's no longer practice, until it's just who you are, until you don't have to think about it, until the assumptions of wealthy you are your automatic assumptions, until the emotions of abundant you are your default emotions, until acting from the end state is just acting. This doesn't happen overnight. This happens through consistency, through choosing the new identity every day, multiple times a day, until your nervous system updates, until your subconscious agrees, until the new frequency is your new normal. Here's the practice. Every morning, before you do anything else, ask yourself, who am I today? And answer, I am the version of me who has it all. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am taken care of. Say it out loud. Feel it in your body. Let it be true before your day starts. Then, throughout the day, check in. Am I being that version right now? Or have I slipped back into old me? If you've slipped, don't judge it. Just choose again, reset, come back to the frequency. Every time you notice, you're strengthening the new identity. Every time you choose, you're anchoring the new timeline. Do this for 90 days, not casually, seriously, with commitment, with consistency. And at the end of 90 days, the new identity won't be new anymore. It'll just be you. But let's be real. 90 days is a long time. And you're going to slip. You're going to have bad days. Days when the bills pile up and the old fear kicks in. Days when you check your account and panic. Days when someone says something that triggers your old story. Days when you forget everything you learned here and collapse back into the old frequency. This is normal. This is part of the process. This is not failure. This is just the old identity trying to reassert itself one more time. And what you do in those moments determines whether you actually shift timelines or just visit the new one temporarily. Here's what to do when you slip. First, notice that you've slipped. Don't beat yourself up. Don't spiral into, I knew this wouldn't work. Just notice. I'm in the old frequency right now. Second, acknowledge the feeling. Don't resist it. Don't try to positive think your way out of it. Just say, okay, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling worried. I'm feeling like the old me. That's happening. Third, take a breath. A real one. Deep into your belly. Hold it. Release it slowly. Do this 3 times. Fourth, ask yourself, what would the wealthy version of me do right now? Not what would they feel. What would they do? And then do that. Even if you don't feel like it. Especially if you don't feel like it. The action shifts the frequency. The behavior creates the identity. The doing becomes the being. Here's a real example of what this looks like. You have a slip day. You wake up anxious. Check your bank account. Lower than you'd like. Immediate spiral. I'm never going to get ahead. This isn't working. I'm still broke. I'm fooling myself. You catch yourself. Okay, I'm slipping. I'm in the old frequency. You acknowledge it. I'm scared right now. I'm feeling like I'm not going to make it. You breathe. 3 deep breaths. You ask, what would wealthy me do right now? The answer comes, wealthy me wouldn't panic. Wealthy me would make a coffee, sit down, and calmly figure out the next right action. So you do that. You make the coffee. You sit down. You don't feel calm, but you're acting calm. And in acting calm, you start to feel calm. You write down what needs to happen this week financially. You see that it's manageable. You remember that you've always figured it out. The panic subsides. The old frequency releases its grip. The new frequency comes back online. You didn't wait until you felt better to act better. You acted better until you felt better. That's the skill. That's how you sustain. Now let me give you a relapse-proofing plan. A system for when the old identity comes back strong, because it will. Probably around day 7. Definitely around day 21. Almost certainly around day 40. These are the danger zones. The moments when the old programming fights hardest to pull you back. If you know they're coming, you can prepare for them. If you prepare for them, you can move through them without losing momentum. Here's the plan. First, identify your triggers. What situations or thoughts or people tend to pull you back into the old frequency? Is it checking your bank account? Is it seeing someone else's success? Is it talking to a certain family member? Is it being alone too long? Is it being in a specific place? Write down your top 3 triggers. These are your vulnerability points. Second, create a protocol for each trigger. What will you do when this happens? Not if. When. If the trigger is checking your bank account, your protocol might be, I will check my account. I will take 3 breaths. I will say out loud, I am building wealth. And then I will immediately take one action that wealthy me would take. Maybe that's transferring $5 to savings. Maybe that's researching an investment. Maybe that's reaching out to a potential client. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the pattern. Trigger, breathe, reaffirm, act. That pattern interrupts the old loop and reinforces the new one. Third, build in daily anchors. These are non-negotiable practices that keep you tethered to the new frequency no matter what. 3 anchors minimum. First anchor, morning declaration. Before your feet hit the floor, before you check your phone, say out loud, I am the version of me who has it all. This sets the frequency for the day. Second anchor, midday check-in. Set an alarm for noon. When it goes off, stop whatever you're doing and ask, am I being wealthy me right now? If yes, acknowledge it. If no, reset. Third anchor, evening gratitude. Before bed, write down 3 things that happened today that confirm the new timeline. Did you notice a bridge event? Did you make a decision from abundance? Did you feel wealthy even for a moment? Write it down. These 3 anchors keep you connected to the new frequency every single day, even on the hard days, even when you don't feel like it. Non-negotiable. 90 days. Every day. Fourth, create an emergency reset ritual. For the moments when you're really slipping, when the anxiety is overwhelming, when you're convinced none of this is working and you're about to give up. Here's the ritual. Find a quiet space. Sit down, close your eyes, put both hands on your heart. Take 10 deep breaths. With each breath, say silently, I trust, I trust, I trust. After 10 breaths, open your eyes. Write down this sentence. The version of me who has everything I want is proud of me for not giving up right now. Read it out loud. Then write down 1 tiny action you can take in the next 5 minutes that aligns with wealthy you. Not a big action, a tiny one. Call it a micro action. Maybe it's cleaning your wallet. Maybe it's organizing 1 file. Maybe it's sending 1 email. Then do it. Immediately, that tiny action breaks the spiral. That tiny action reminds your nervous system that you're still in control. That tiny action is proof that you haven't quit. Do this ritual every time you're on the edge. It works. Fifth, find an accountability anchor. This is one person who knows what you're doing and checks in with you regularly. Not to manage you, not to fix you, just to witness. Tell them, I'm shifting my identity around money. I'm practicing being the wealthy version of me for 90 days. I might slip. When I do, I just need you to remind me who I'm becoming. Then give them a script. When I say I'm struggling, just say this. You're the person who has it all, remember? You're just having a moment. It'll pass. That's it. That's all they need to say. Having someone outside your own mind reflect back the new identity when you can't access it yourself is incredibly powerful. Choose someone who won't judge you, who won't try to talk you out of it, who'll just hold the mirror steady when you forget what you look like. Tell them today. Sixth, document your evidence obsessively. Keep a running list on your phone or in a notebook titled Evidence that it's working. Every time something shifts, no matter how small, write it down. Every bridge event, every unexpected dollar, Every opportunity. Every moment you felt abundant. Every time you caught yourself and chose the new frequency. Every dream that felt significant. Everything. When you're in a low moment, when you're doubting, when you're slipping, you open this list and you read it. You remind yourself, this is not wishful thinking. This is documented reality. Things are shifting. The timeline is changing. I have proof. This list becomes your anchor to truth when the old identity is screaming lies at you. 7th, plan for the celebration moments. This might sound premature, but it's not. Decide right now. When the first big evidence of the shift shows up, how will you acknowledge it? When the money comes, when the opportunity lands, when the thing you've been practicing for manifests, what will you do? Will you take yourself to dinner? Will you buy yourself something specific? Will you tell your accountability anchor? Will you add it to your evidence list in all caps? Decide now. Because when the moment comes, your old identity will try to minimize it. Oh, that was just luck. That would have happened anyway. That's not because of this work. Having a planned celebration interrupts that minimization. It says, no, this matters. This is evidence. This is proof. I'm acknowledging it. I'm honoring it. I'm letting it cement the new identity even deeper. Plan the celebration now. It's coming. Now let me give you the day-by-day micro-challenges for the first 30 days. These are small, specific actions that build the new identity one choice at a time. You're already doing the morning declaration, the midday check-in, and the evening gratitude. These micro-challenges stack on top of that. One challenge per day. Some days it'll feel easy. Some days it'll feel impossible. Do it anyway. The resistance is just the old identity fighting. The discomfort is just growth. The awkwardness is just unfamiliarity. Push through. The other side is freedom. Day 1 micro-challenge. Say the words I am wealthy out loud 10 times today. Not quietly, loudly. In the car, in the shower, in your room, wherever you're alone. Let your body hear it. Let your voice claim it. 10 times. Day 2. Leave a generous tip somewhere. More than you normally would. Not recklessly, but from a place of I have plenty to share. Feel the abundance in the giving. Day 3. Spend 5 minutes researching something wealthy people do that you've never explored. Maybe it's investing. Maybe it's travel. Maybe it's philanthropy. Just familiarize yourself with the world you're stepping into. Day 4. Clean out your wallet or purse. Remove old receipts, organize your cards, make it a place that respects money. Wealthy people honor their money. You're wealthy people now. Day 5. Write a check to yourself for $10,000. Don't cash it, just write it. Date it, sign it, keep it somewhere you'll see it. Let your hand practice writing large amounts made out to you. Day 6. Say no to something you'd normally say yes to out of guilt or obligation. Practice choosing yourself. Wealthy people don't overextend. They protect their energy. Day 7. This is a vulnerable day. Today, you just survive. No challenge. Just keep the 3 daily anchors. Morning declaration, midday check-in, evening gratitude. If you do those 3 things, you win today. Day 8. Buy yourself something small that feels abundant. Fresh flowers, a nice coffee, a fancy soap. Something that says I'm worth this. Day 9. Reach out to someone you admire financially, not to ask for anything, just to express appreciation or curiosity. Wealthy people build wealthy networks. You're starting now. Day 10. Practice receiving. When someone offers you something, anything, even just a compliment, just say thank you. Don't deflect. Don't minimize. Don't reciprocate immediately. Just receive. Wealthy people are good at receiving. You're learning. Day 11. Check your bank account and say thank you before you react. Thank you for what's there. Thank you for what's coming. Thank you for the ability to even have an account. Gratitude shifts frequency faster than anything. Day 12. Write down your current monthly income. Then write down your desired monthly income. Then write, the version of me earning desired amount is who I'm being today. Read it 5 times. Day 13. Do something free that wealthy people do. Go to a museum. Walk through an upscale neighborhood. Visit an art gallery. Let yourself be in spaces of abundance without spending. Day 14. Mid-month check-in. Review your synchronicity log. Count your bridge events. Write down, in 2 weeks, this is how the universe has confirmed I'm on the right path. Read it when you doubt. Day 15. Make one decision today purely based on desire, not scarcity. What do I want? Not what can I afford. What do I want? Let desire lead. See what happens. Day 16. Practice the pause. Before any purchase today, even small ones, pause for 3 breaths. Ask, Is this abundant me choosing this or scarce me? Then choose consciously. Day 17. Tell someone close to you, I'm changing my relationship with money. I'm becoming someone who's abundant. I just wanted you to know. Speaking it out loud makes it more real. Day 18. Imagine a problem you'd have if you were wealthy. Not a bad problem, just a different one. Like where to invest or which vacation to take. Let your mind play in that space. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagined and real. Give it wealthy problems to solve. Day 19. Practice walking like wealthy you. Shoulders back, head up, calm pace. Grounded. Walk through your home like you own it. Because you do. Walk through the world like you belong. Because you do. Day 20. Do something you've been putting off that wealthy you would have handled already. Make the call. Send the email. Fix the thing. Wealthy people don't procrastinate on what matters. Day 21. Danger zone. Today, the old identity will fight hard. Your only job today is to not quit. Keep the anchors. If you need the emergency reset ritual, use it. If you need your accountability anchor, call them. Just don't quit. Day 22. You made it through the danger zone. Celebrate. Do something kind for yourself. Acknowledge that you're stronger than the old programming. Day 23. Review your evidence list. Add anything you've missed. Read the whole thing out loud. Let yourself feel proud. Day 24. Practice detachment. Choose one thing you want and say out loud, I'd love this, and I'll be okay without it. Feel the freedom in that. Day 25. Ask for something. A discount, a favor, an opportunity. Practice asking from a place of I'm worth this, not from desperation. See what happens. Day 26. Organize one financial thing you've been avoiding. A bill, a statement, a conversation. Wealthy people face their finances. You're wealthy people, face it. Day 27. Spend 10 minutes visualizing your life 1 year from now. Same visualization we did earlier, but longer. Feel it deeply. Who are you? What's different? How do you move through the world? Stay in that feeling state as long as you can. Day 28. Do something generous. Not tip, not a gift. Something genuinely generous. Pay for someone's coffee. Give money to a cause. Help someone unexpectedly. Wealthy people are generous because they know there's more where that came from. You know that now too. Day 29. Write a letter to your old identity. Thank them for trying to keep you safe. Tell them you're choosing differently now. Tell them it's okay to let go. You've got it from here. Day 30. Review the entire month. Read your evidence list. Read your synchronicity log. Count the changes. Notice who you've become. You're not the same person who started this 30 days ago. Acknowledge that. Honor that. You've shifted. The timeline is different. You're different. Write down, I am the version of me who has it all. And mean it. Because it's true now. After 30 days, you do it again. 60 days total. Then 90. By day 90, you won't need the micro-challenges anymore. You'll just be the person who operates from abundance. The identity won't be new. It'll just be you. But those first 30 days are critical. They're the bridge. They're where the shift becomes solid. They're where you prove to yourself that you're serious. So do them, all of them, even the ones that feel silly. Especially the ones that feel silly. Because silly is just unfamiliar. And unfamiliar is just new. And new is exactly where you need to be. The multiplication effect is this. Once you learn how to shift timelines in one area, you can apply it to everything. This isn't just about money. This is about health, relationships, purpose, creativity, joy, everything. Because the mechanism is the same. The version of you who is healthy already exists. The version of you who is deeply loved already exists. The version of you who is fulfilled and expressed and joyful already exists. They're all on different frequencies. They're all broadcasting right now. And you can tune to any of them by shifting your identity, embodying the frequency, and acting as if it's already true. Once you get wealth handled, once you prove to yourself that this works with money, apply it to your body. What does healthy you assume? What emotions does healthy you feel? How does healthy you make decisions about food, movement, rest? Step into that identity. Be that version. Watch your health shift. Then apply it to love. What does loved you assume? What does deeply connected you feel? How does relationship fulfilled you show up? Step into that identity. Watch your relationships shift. This work is fractal. Learn it in one area, and you have the key to every area. Master frequency in one domain, and you can tune any station. That's the multiplication effect. That's why this matters so much. You're not just learning how to get rich. You're learning how to become the deliberate creator of your entire reality. Let me tell you about Maria. She came to this work for money. She was a single mom, working 2 jobs, barely keeping her head above water. She learned to shift timelines. Within 6 months, her income doubled. She got a better job, a freelance opportunity, and an unexpected bonus all in the same month. The financial pressure lifted. But then she noticed something. She was still exhausted, still disconnected from her. So here's your question. If you could shift timelines in any area of your life right now, beyond money, what would it be? What's the next frequency you want to tune to? What's the parallel version of you waiting to become primary? Don't just answer mentally. Feel it, imagine it, let it be real for a moment. Because it is real. That version exists right now. And everything you've learned about shifting to wealthy, you applies to any version of you. The mechanism is the same. Identity, frequency, assumption, action. Choose, embody, trust, sustain. That's the formula. That's the path. That's how you step into parallel anything. Let me give you another example. James came to this work after his health scare. He'd had a heart attack at 42. Doctors told him he needed to change everything. Lose weight, lower stress, exercise, eat better. He tried. For 6 months he tried. And he'd lose a few pounds and then gain them back. He'd exercise for a week and then stop. He was still operating from sick James' identity, still identifying as the person with the bad heart, the sedentary lifestyle, the stress problem. Then he learned about parallel timelines, and he asked himself, what does the version of me who's healthy assume? Healthy James assumes his body is strong, assumes movement feels good, assumes healthy food is satisfying, assumes stress is manageable. So he decided to be that James, before the weight came off, before the habits stuck, before the doctor said he was clear. He decided, I am the version of me who's healthy. And he started making every choice from that identity. Not from I'm sick and trying to get better, from I'm healthy and acting accordingly. Within 3 months, he'd lost 25 pounds without trying. He just naturally wanted to move more, eat better, rest properly. Because healthy people do those things, and he was healthy people now. The identity created the behaviors created the results. 6 months later, his doctor couldn't believe the changes. Wanted to know what program he'd followed. James said, I just decided I was already healthy. The doctor didn't understand, but James did. He'd shifted timelines, used the same mechanism that works for money, applied it to his body, got the same results. That's multiplication. Now we come to the final principle, living as the chooser. This is the ultimate shift. This is where you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as the deliberate selector of your reality. You're not at the mercy of the economy, your past, your conditioning, your family, your luck. You're not stuck in the timeline you're on. You're the one choosing the timeline. Every moment, every decision, every thought, every emotion. You are the chooser. And once you fully embody that truth, everything changes. Because a chooser doesn't hope. A chooser doesn't wish. A chooser doesn't wait. A chooser chooses. And then lives from that choice with absolute commitment. Most people live as victims. Things happen to them. Life is hard. The universe is random. They're at the effect of forces beyond their control, and from that position, they're powerless. They can try harder, work more, hope better, but ultimately they're subject to conditions they can't control, and that position creates a frequency of powerlessness, and that frequency attracts experiences that confirm powerlessness. It's a loop, a trap, a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it's not truth. It's a choice. They're choosing the victim position, and that choice is creating the victim experience. They just don't realize they're choosing it. Living as the chooser means realizing, I am not at the effect of my circumstances. I'm at the cause. I am not a receiver. I am a selector. I don't have to accept the timeline I'm on. I can choose a different one. Right now, in this moment, by deciding who I am and what's true for me, and then living from that decision with zero negotiation. This is not arrogance. This is not bypassing. This is responsibility. Radical complete ownership of your reality. Not blame. Empowerment. If I'm the one creating this through my frequency, through my identity, through my assumptions, then I'm also the one who can change it. I'm not powerless. I'm infinitely powerful. I'm the chooser. Here's what changes when you embody this. You stop complaining. Because complaining is victim language. Choosers don't complain. Choosers choose different. You stop blaming. Because blaming is victim positioning. Choosers don't blame. Choosers take responsibility and choose again. You stop waiting. Because waiting is victim energy. Choosers don't wait for permission or proof or perfect conditions. Choosers choose now and let reality catch up. You stop hoping. Because hoping is for people who aren't sure they have power. Choosers don't hope. Choosers decide and then expect the decision to manifest, because that's how reality works. This doesn't mean you're always in control of external events. You're not. Things happen. Life happens. Other people make choices that affect you. But you're always in control of your response. You're always in control of the meaning you assign. You're always in control of the identity you embody. You're always in control of the frequency you broadcast. And that control is enough. That control is everything. Because the frequency you broadcast selects the timeline you experience. So even when external circumstances are challenging, you get to choose whether those circumstances define you or refine you, whether they prove you're powerless or prove you're resilient, whether they're happening to you or for you. That choice changes everything. Let me give you a final scenario. Two people lose their job on the same day. Same company, same position, same severance. Person one, this is a disaster. I'm going to lose my house. I'll never find another job this good. The economy is terrible. I'm too old. I'm not qualified. I'm screwed. That's victim language. That's the frequency of powerless. That person is choosing to collapse into fear. And from that frequency, they'll either struggle to find work or settle for something that confirms their fear. Person two, okay, this is unexpected, but I trust that something better is coming. Maybe I was stuck there and this is the universe pushing me toward what's next. I wonder what opportunity is waiting for me now. That's chooser language. That's the frequency of empowered. That person is choosing to trust. And from that frequency, they'll likely find something better, faster, easier than they imagined. Same external event, different internal choice, different frequency, different timeline, different result. You are the chooser. You've always been the chooser. You just forgot, or you were never taught. But now you know. Now you remember, and you can never unknow this. From this moment forward, every time something happens that you don't like, you have a choice. You can collapse into victim and say, this is happening to me. I have no control. Life is unfair. Or you can stand as chooser and say, this is happening, and I get to decide what it means and who I'm being through it and what timeline I'm selecting by my response. One choice keeps you stuck. One choice sets you free. Which one are you going to make? Here's your final practice. For the next 30 days, catch yourself every time you use victim language. Every time you say I can't, or I have to, or I never, or why does this always happen to me? Catch it. Don't judge it. Just notice it. And then rephrase it as chooser language. I can't afford that becomes, I'm choosing not to spend on that right now. I have to work late becomes, I'm choosing to work late tonight. I never get opportunities becomes, I'm choosing to believe opportunities are coming. Why does this always happen to me becomes, what am I choosing that's creating this pattern and how do I choose differently? Every time you rephrase, you reclaim power. Every time you shift the language, you shift the frequency. Every time you stand as chooser, you step into a different timeline. Do this for 30 days and you won't recognize yourself, because you'll be living from a completely different identity. You'll be living as the version of you who creates reality instead of enduring it. This is parallel riches, not just the wealth, the wholeness, not just the money, the mastery, not just having more, being the version of you who's always been there, waiting for you to choose them, waiting for you to tune to their frequency, waiting for you to step into their timeline. They're not far away. They're right here, adjacent, parallel, separated only by identity, by assumption, by frequency, by choice. And here's the promise. If you do this work, if you commit to the identity shift, if you practice the frequency daily, if you act from the end state consistently, if you read the synchronicities and trust the bridge events, if you sustain the new normal and live as the chooser, your life will change. Not might, will. Because this isn't theory. This is law. This is how reality works. The universe is a mirror. It reflects the frequency you broadcast. Change the frequency, change the reflection. Change the identity, change the timeline. Change the choice, change the life. It's physics. It's mechanics. It's inevitable. You just have to be willing to be the version of you who already has it all before you have it all. You just have to be willing to choose the new reality before the old one releases you. You just have to be willing to live from the end while you're still in the middle. Can you do that? Can you be that brave? Can you choose that powerfully? Can you trust that completely? Because if you can, if you will, if you do, then everything you want is already yours. It always has been. You were just tuned to the wrong station. You were just identifying with the wrong version. You were just living from the old assumption, but not anymore. This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your timeline. Step into it. Claim it. Live it. The version of you with everything you want is already there. Stop waiting for them to appear in your future. Go meet them now, in the parallel present, in the frequency you choose, in the identity you embody, in the life you select. They're you. You're them. There's no gap. There's no distance. There's only choice. So choose, right now. Choose to be wealthy. Choose to be abundant. Choose to be taken care of. Choose to be the version who has it all. And then live from that choice like your life depends on it. Because it does. Not your survival. Your transformation. Not your existence. Your awakening. This is who you've always been. You just forgot. Now you remember. Now you choose. Now you become. Welcome home. But let's go deeper into what happens after the first 90 days. Because this is where the real mastery begins. You've done the work. You've shifted the identity. You've sustained the frequency. Money is flowing differently. Opportunities are appearing. The timeline has shifted. You have evidence. You have proof. And now comes the next level. Making the shift permanent. Making it so deep, so automatic, so integrated that you could never go back to the old frequency even if you tried. This is where you move from conscious practice to unconscious mastery. This is where you become the frequency instead of broadcasting it. Here's what most people don't tell you. The shift doesn't end. It deepens. You don't arrive at wealthy and stay there forever without maintenance. You arrive at wealthy and then you learn to live there. You learn the rhythms of that timeline. You learn the challenges of that frequency. Because every timeline has its own set of problems. Poor you had money problems. Wealthy you has different problems. Not worse, just different. And if you don't learn to navigate the new problems with the same tools that got you there, you'll slip back. Not because you failed, because you didn't evolve with the shift. Let me tell you what wealthy you's problems look like. Decision fatigue. When you have more resources, you have more choices. And more choices require more decisions. Where to invest, what to spend on, who to help, what opportunities to pursue. Old you didn't have these problems because old you didn't have options. New you has options. And options require discernment. You'll need to learn to choose from clarity instead of from overwhelm. You'll need to learn that not every opportunity is your opportunity. That having the money to do something doesn't mean you should do it. This is a skill wealthy people have that broke people never needed. You're learning it now. Visibility. When you have more people see you. More people want access to you. More people have opinions about you. Old you was invisible. That felt lonely, but it was safe. New you is visible. That feels vulnerable, but it's powerful. You'll need to learn boundaries. You'll need to learn that no is a complete sentence. You'll need to learn that not everyone gets to have an opinion about your choices. This is a skill wealthy people have that broke people never needed. You're learning it now. Guilt. This is the big one. When you shift timelines and others don't, guilt can creep in. Why do I have this when they don't? Why am I thriving when they're struggling? Old you didn't have this problem because old you was struggling too. New you has resources. And resources can trigger guilt if you're not careful. You'll need to learn that your abundance doesn't take from anyone else's abundance. That the universe is not a pie where your slice means less for someone else. That you shifting timelines actually makes it easier for others to shift because you're proving it's possible. This is a skill wealthy people have that broke people never needed. You're learning it now. Here's how to navigate these new problems with the same principles that got you here. For decision fatigue, return to identity. Before you say yes to an opportunity or investment, ask, is this what wealthy me would do? Not what could I do? What would I do? Let identity filter decisions. Wealthy you is discerning. Wealthy you doesn't chase every shiny object. Wealthy you chooses strategically. Be that. For visibility, return to frequency. When people's opinions or energy start affecting you, check your frequency. Are you contracting because of external input? Reset. Breathe. Return to the frequency of I'm solid in who I am. Wealthy you doesn't need external validation. Wealthy you is anchored internally. Be that. For guilt, return to abundance consciousness. When guilt arises, remind yourself, my abundance helps others. My success shows what's possible. My wealth allows me to be generous. Wealthy you knows their prosperity is not a problem to solve. It's a resource to steward. Be that. Now let's talk about what I call frequency anchors. These are external reminders that keep you connected to the new identity when life gets noisy. You've been doing internal work. Identity shifts, frequency practices, emotional choices. But external anchors matter too. They're the physical touch points that remind your nervous system who you are now. They're the environmental cues that keep you tuned to the right station when everything else is trying to retune you back to the old one. Here are 5 frequency anchors to build into your life. First, a physical object that represents wealthy you. Maybe it's a specific piece of jewelry you only wear now. Maybe it's a photo that captures who you're becoming. Maybe it's an object that symbolizes abundance to you. Choose something. Keep it where you'll see it or touch it daily. Every time you interact with it, let it remind you, I am the version of me who has it all. This is not superstition. This is neuroscience. External cues trigger internal states. Use them intentionally. Second, a space that feels like wealthy use space. This doesn't mean redecorating your whole house. This means one corner, one room, one chair that is exclusively wealthy use domain. Maybe it's where you do your morning declaration. Maybe it's where you sit to visualize. Maybe it's where you go to reset when you're slipping. Make it sacred. Keep it clean. Let it be a frequency anchor. When you're in that space, you're in the identity. When you're in that space, you're in the timeline. Use it. Third, a phrase that brings you back. We've used I am the version of me who has it all throughout this work. But maybe there's a different phrase that lands more deeply for you. Maybe it's I am taken care of. Maybe it's money flows to me. Maybe it's I am the chooser. Whatever phrase feels most true, most powerful, most activating, that's your anchor phrase. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you're triggered. Say it when you're winning. Let it be the thread that keeps you tethered to the new frequency no matter what's happening around you. Fourth, a person who reflects the new identity back to you. This might be your accountability anchor from before, or it might be someone different. Someone who sees you as wealthy you even when you forget. Someone who doesn't let you collapse into old stories. Someone who calls you forward instead of holds you back. Find that person. Tell them what you're doing. Ask them to be your mirror, not your manager. Your mirror. And when you're with them, let yourself be seen as who you're becoming, not who you were, who you are now. Fifth, a practice that feels like wealthy you's practice. Maybe wealthy you meditates. Maybe wealthy you journals. Maybe wealthy you walks in nature. Maybe wealthy you does breath work. Whatever practice feels aligned with the energy of abundance and calm and trust, that's your frequency anchor practice. Do it regularly. Not because you have to, because wealthy you does, because it's part of who you are now. Let the practice reinforce the identity. Let the identity deepen through the practice. Now let's address something nobody talks about, the loneliness of shifting timelines. Because here's what happens. You shift. You change frequency. You step into a new identity, and the people around you are still on the old frequency. They're still operating from the old assumptions. They're still having the same conversations, the same complaints, the same limitations, and you're not anymore. You've changed. And that change creates distance, not because you're better than them, because you're different from them now. You're on a different timeline, and timelines don't always overlap. This is normal. This is part of the process. And this is where a lot of people quit, because the loneliness gets uncomfortable, because they miss the old connections, because being on the new timeline by yourself feels isolating. So they slip back, not because the new timeline doesn't work, because the social cost feels too high, and they trade their transformation for belonging. Don't do that. Don't trade your future for familiar. Don't shrink back into the old identity just because it's where your current people are. Trust that as you hold the new frequency, new people will come. People who are already on that timeline. People who speak the new language. People who won't make you explain or defend or justify. They'll just get it. Because they're already living it. Those people are coming. Hold the frequency long enough for them to find you. In the meantime, here's what to do with the loneliness. First, don't fight it. Don't pretend it's not there. Acknowledge it. I'm changing, and that means some relationships are changing too. That's uncomfortable. That's sad. That's real. Feel it. Second, don't make it mean you're doing something wrong. The loneliness doesn't mean you should go back. It means you're between timelines. You're in the gap. You've left the old and you haven't fully landed in the new yet. That gap is temporary. Stay in it. Third, use the loneliness as a signal. Here's a practice for when the loneliness hits hard. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Now imagine the version of you 5 years from now who's fully established in the new timeline. See them surrounded by people who match their frequency, people who celebrate their success, people who speak their language, people who are thriving too. Now imagine that future, you looking back at current you sitting here feeling lonely. What would they say to you? Listen. Let future you remind you, this loneliness is temporary. The right people are coming. Hold the frequency. Don't go back. I'm here waiting for you. Keep going. Let that message land. Let it strengthen you. Let it remind you that the loneliness is just a chapter, not the whole story. Now let's talk about recalibration. Because here's what nobody tells you. Even after you've shifted, even after you've sustained the new frequency for months, you'll still have moments where you need to recalibrate, where old patterns resurface, where old fears kick in, where you catch yourself operating from the old identity even though you thought you'd left it behind for good. This is not failure. This is maintenance. This is just your nervous system checking. Are we really doing this? Is this really who we are now? And your job in those moments is to answer, yes, we're really doing this. This is really who we are. And then recalibrate back to the frequency. Here's what recalibration looks like in practice. You notice you've been stressed about money for 3 days straight. You've been checking your account obsessively. You've been in scarcity thinking. You catch it. Okay, I'm off frequency. I'm in the old pattern. Don't judge it. Don't spiral about it. Just recalibrate. How? Use the emergency reset ritual from before. Hands on heart. 10 breaths. I trust, I trust, I trust. Then ask, what does wealthy me need right now? Maybe the answer is rest. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's to take one simple action that proves I'm in control. Do that. Then return to the frequency anchors. Touch the physical object. Sit in the space. Say the phrase. Call the person. Do the practice. Recalibrate. You're not starting over. You're just tuning back in. The more you recalibrate, the faster you get at it. At first, you might be off frequency for days before you notice. Then it's hours. Then it's minutes. Eventually, you notice the moment you slip and you recalibrate immediately. That's mastery. That's not never slipping. That's catching the slip fast and choosing back into alignment before it becomes a spiral. That's the skill you're building. And you build it through repetition, through catching yourself, through choosing again. Every single time. Let me give you the advanced practice. This is for after the first 90 days, after you've proven to yourself that this works, after the identity shift has started to solidify. The advanced practice is this: living in the question instead of the answer. Most of this work has been about declaring answers. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am taken care of. Those declarations create the shift. But once the shift has happened, once you're living on the new timeline, the advanced practice is to live in curiosity instead of certainty. To ask questions that open you up instead of statements that lock you in. Questions like, how good can this get? What else is possible? What would delight me today? Who am I becoming that I haven't even imagined yet? These questions keep you in expansion. They keep you from plateauing. Because here's what happens. You shift to wealthy you, and then you start to settle into that as the new ceiling. You've arrived at wealthy. Now you stop reaching. But there's no ceiling. There's no arrival. There's only more. There's always a more abundant version, a more free version, a more expressed version. And the way you access those versions is not through more declarations. It's through questions, through staying open, through inviting in what you haven't even thought to ask for yet. So after your 90 days, after your identity is solid, start asking instead of stating. Start wondering instead of knowing. Start playing in the what if instead of defending the what is. This keeps you fluid. This keeps you growing. This keeps you tuning to higher and higher frequencies instead of camping out on the one you've reached. Declarations create the shift. Questions sustain the expansion. Use both, master both. That's the advanced work. Now let's talk about legacy. Because once you've shifted your own timeline, once you're living in abundance, once you're the person who has it all, a new question emerges. What now? What do I do with this? What's the point of having all this if it's just for me? This is the question that separates people who have wealth from people who are wealthy. Having wealth is external. Being wealthy is internal. And being wealthy includes knowing that abundance is meant to flow through you, not just to you. It's meant to be a current, not a pool. It's meant to move, not stagnate. And the movement is what creates legacy. Legacy doesn't mean you have to start a foundation or change the world. Legacy just means you use your abundance in a way that extends beyond yourself. Maybe that's helping someone else shift timelines. Maybe that's being generous in ways you couldn't be before. Maybe that's creating something that outlasts you. Maybe that's teaching your kids a different relationship with money than you had. Maybe that's just being the person in your community who proves that scarcity is not inevitable. That's legacy. That's what abundance is for. Not just having more, doing more with what you have. Here's the practice. Once a month, ask yourself, how did my abundance serve someone other than me this month? If you can't answer that, you're not flowing. You're pooling, and pooled abundance stagnates. It stops growing. It stops feeling good. Flow it, give it, use it, share it. Not from obligation, from overflow, from the knowing that there's always more where that came from. And watch what happens. The more you flow it, the more it flows to you. That's not karma. That's just frequency. Generous people broadcast a frequency of abundance. and the universe matches it. Always. Let me bring this to a close with one final story. A woman named Claire came to this work 5 years ago. She was broke, in debt, scared. She did everything we've talked about here. She shifted her identity. She practiced the frequency. She acted from the end state. She sustained the new normal. Within a year, her income had tripled. Within 2 years, she was debt-free. Within 3 years, she had savings she never thought possible. But the most significant change wasn't the money. It was who she became in the process. She became someone who trusts, someone who chooses, someone who creates instead of endures, someone who knows that reality is flexible, and she's the one bending it. Because if you are, if you will, if you do, then everything changes. Today. Not someday. Today. The shift is instant. The decision is now. The timeline is available. The version is waiting. All you have to do is choose them, be them, live from them, and trust that reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around the frequency you're broadcasting. That's the law. That's the mechanism. That's the truth. And now you know it. Now you have it. Now you use it. So go. Step into the parallel version. Tune to the frequency. Embody the identity. Choose the timeline. Become the person who already has it all. Not later, now, not when circumstances change. Before they change. Not when you feel ready. Before you feel ready. That's the move. That's the shift. That's how you access parallel riches. Not by reaching forward. By stepping sideways. Not by becoming worthy. By deciding you already are. Not by earning it. By choosing it. Right now. This moment. This breath. This choice. You are the version who has it all. You've always been that version. You just needed to remember. Now you remember. Now you choose. Now you become. This is who you are. Welcome home.